Very good, gamers. How are we? This is Games and Chill, and today we are in a new video in the legendary build, and this goes to be the last build because it will not require more updates from Kazuha. Today we are not only going to make the definitive build, the last building of the Arch of Anemo, but also I have a special guest collaborator in this guide, that is Kaitaro. Here we have it, so leave a good like because there's Kaitaro, the Yanfei on Twitter, one of Genshin's most important creators today, and is making a spectacular cameo in the right video, next door for all of us to see from NATLAN's reward tree. Let's see you know the guns, the mastery, the talents, so leave a good like. A good ulti of Bennett, subscribe, leave a good comment for algorithm, helps a lot, it's free, it doesn't cost you anything, thank you for doing it. For the video to be positioned, recommended, let's grow so that the entire channel team can have a lot more illusion and opportunity, and that I can keep expanding the equipment and bringing this piece of content to you. So thank you for all of it, and now Kazuha is. Well, this last build couldn't stay without talking about Shilonen because I think all of you. Here's the meme that has become Shilonen's ultra mega super viral burying Kazuha. For it is said that Shilonen is a kind of Kazuha but better. Imagine the Kazuha being cured, had a good consonance, and in return not to come together, which would be the only difference. The reality and basically the definitive thought and opinion about this, until more characters appear to improve. Kazuha or Izionen, because the power creep is real, is that one character doesn't take away the other. Kazuha will remain one of the 4 best characters in the game, only now Shilonen will enter there, i.e. Fiorina, Nahida, Kazuha and Shilonen will be the 4 characters par excellence, and the 4 best 5-star stands. The best thing is to have 2 Kazuhas on your own, and not just one, a Shilonen and a Kazuha. So case closed, really, one thing doesn't opaque to the other, but Shilonen comes very strong. Now Kazuha, he's a supporter of Nemo. He's not even carry with the cheeks. His cheeks is terrible. He's one of the worst characters with his cheeks that could have some kind of strange carry team and good you put on the Spadita. From Anemo to hit Anemo, but you know it is the typical Chin 6 of many stands that Hoyoverser's knows what players wanted, and it exploits it, and in this case it's more of the same, just like Nahida Chicks is carry. That Fiorina Chicks is carry, because Kazuha Chinix is imbued, but it is very bad carry. Now we go straight to the talents because you know that Kazuha is super powerful for several things. Number 1, if you are going to play only with the triple mastery and recharge, like the damage of Torbellino scale with character level and mastery, i.e. conventional Kazuha. There is not even to raise the talents because the scaled damage of Torbellino goes with the level and the mastery. Talents have to be raised in case you want to do extra damage considering you're not critical, but it's not important. Or, and this is very good to mention, that at the beginning of the Kazuha build you have a Kazuha build late with triple mastery and recharge, but thanks to the Shifos and only and exclusively with the Chifos get probability in substats, so that Kazuha, apart from his triple mastery and recharge as you see on screen, has proportion and makes critical, in which case the damage. Increase the damage of Kazuha, go to the sky, and is the building of Kazuha Ultra dependent on Chifos. So the talents only go up in that case to be likely, or in some case to want to play a Kazuha to harm, or a mixed Kazuha, but in all cases by default if you don't know what you do to master it. It is the best for everyone. Now, the elementary skill, you know what comes back together when you fall. And if you don't keep it, if you make it normal. Basically, it's also a very important pooling source. There's that this is the normal elementary together a little less. But the full damage will always be the same whether the loads or not. And when you do not load it, you have less cooldown as you see. And finally, the downfall of Kazuha is here. That's why we've always recommended you above all, makes one of the creators. That you don't raise 1.5 or weird things, or you don't raise it, or raise it all at once, because the 2 strokes of fall are reflected here. And then you have a buff aside to that fall damage that imbues you with an element. Now, This element that is that simple. It basically has the ability to make double whirlwind to 2 elements, so that Kazuha buffet 2 elements is that Kazuha. To 1000 master's degree, that is this encouragement from here that I took advantage of and explained it already because it has a lot to do with this elemental 2000. Master's degree will take 40% of good elemental damage to the 2 elements that make that double whirlwind, or if you only make a whirlwind. For to that element you will put almost 40 elemental damage with 1000 master's degree. This varies because it has no cap. This is very interesting, with which if you have the C2 of Kazuha or some team out there that apart from the 900 masters, as is my case, win this extra C2 that gives you 200, because if you have, for example, 1000 master's degree plus 200 here of talent, you leave. To put with 1200 at 48% of elemental damage bonus, almost 50 more than what gives you a chalice, with which is very interesting. But other Kazuha who have less mastery stay close to 800. What will be giving you is about 36-37% damage. Elementary is a difference to know that according to your construction and the C2, you can reach between 36 and 48 elementary years that are 12 plus elemental damage that is quite hurt, so your elemental that does your ulti create the gigantic whirlwind of Fee. The ulti that serves in burn and general equipment to reapply Pyro, or in the Arlecchino team, is used just after of Furina to be able to apply Hydro and leave an extra source of Hydro apart from the very source Furina, and its ulti hard in field. Only 8 seconds is very little as cooldown of 15, with which the rotation of Kazuha adapts perfectly equipment of 15, but if you're going to play in 20-second teams like Kazuha with Siangling on a lot of teams because it's a combination, amazing to remember that the Kazuha bonus only gives it to the characters for 10 seconds, that this is very important 10 seconds is little, and it's the same cooldown that has the green shadow around here. I'm using my ass because I'd swear in some way. Sayet, I think I remember that it's not 10 seconds, it's 8 seconds of cooldown, but the elemental bonus here doesn't put exactly how much time. If 8 seconds puts it here, correction is 8 seconds of 40% elemental damage. And 10 seconds of green shadow is quite little, because bringing the conversation to Xilonen, who is buying a lot with Kazuha, basically Xilonen, you go, to give that 40% elemental bonus for 20 seconds, which means it's a lot more than double, and Xilonen is going to put you in the 15 seconds resistance drop, which is 5 seconds longer than the green shadow set, which is why they're bringing shadow. The conversation so much to Xilonen, compare it to Kazuha, the ulti basically 15 of time, weight 60 of energy, then to the Connie. That gives you 2 elementals, really is very little about the recharge that you need to use. 8 seconds, nothing more is enough. Little truth, and Kazuha's own ticks climb very well here. Note we will also talk about Kazuha's variant to gross damage by playing in Monkey Anemo with Faruzan as the sub DPS of Scaramouche, Faruzan Kazuha damage, and Bennett, which is an amazing sub DPS of Scaramouche, is another level. And finally, the next breath of extension is the descending one says that if the elemental Kazuha uses it, then it makes some whirlwind in the next descending attack go. To do a 200% more damage is to say the one that is coming scaled from here, and that aside, that descending will have an element. That is to say, one of the 4 elements that you will make whirlwind. This is what was explained by raising the breaths at the same time, and a fall. That if you're going to play a mixed Kazuha or hurt this descending, you'll do twice with the cone scale, a lot, but without giving much more turn. Basically, Kazuha is elementary charged ulti elementary normal, if it is cone, or elemental charged ulti, if it is Chero. If charged elemental becomes a little heavy, or some equipment or some enemy of the abyss does not need to do this because an enemy that you can't move, so you don't have to put together normal elemental ulti and change. If it's a Kazuha Chero, if he is a Kazuha cone, would also recommend doing charged elemental because it generates more particles when it is charged elemental Kani. Ulti elemental normal so easy, and if it is triple mastery, the talents 1-1 and you forget the constellations now. The cone gives you that double elemental combo, plus particles for the equipment, and for you, which makes it part of a battery. Very solid and very powerful for the equipment, and does not usually damage the rotation in general. The C2 has 2 points, and says it wins. Kazuha 200 Team 200Y. They put it apart so you don't do no wall, because I remember at the time that day they wanted to make rare equipment, because to remember that Sucrose blew for the mastery of the team in proportion to the mastery of Sucrose. And remember when Kazuha came out? This will hardly be remembered by anyone. The souls, only those in 1.6 will remember it. And it is that they said, literally, that Sucrose and Kazuha were not going to work together, and that's why in this constellation they separate Kazuha's mastery of the mastery of the rest of the team, because many would say, good, then why don't they put that? Gives 200 mastery to everything. The world and it already, because the separation of the 200 that Kazuha receives, and the 200 from the team, makes the team, in this case, a Sucrose. Or other characters bubbling the mastery of other characters in proportion to their mastery, do not do an infinite mastery snowball. That's why Sugar earns 200, just consult and apart the characters, win 200, but from this you can't feedback. Kazuha's mastery is strange, but it's programming and it's trying to simplify it. And I don't know why Hoyoverse is trying to explain. This because other characters don't explain things well so good, but it's written for that, but it's 200 to Kazuha. And 200 to the entire team now, elemental, plus 3, last 3. This is more energy for Kazuha, for whom he's not even looking. Recharge power, and these chicks, you put on a Nemo to glue a Nemo spoiler. No good is very bad, is not good carry dot sets. Kazuha mostly 99% of cases will carry green shade set, because it is a low resistance set, so it is. Amazing Kazuha on some spot team where he plays to crack Ayato. Examples in field Nahida, sub DPS Kazuha and Bennett, where Kazuha will take Bennett's Pyro, and then the team will be a crackling team because they're like that green shadow either. You want to lower resistances, neither Bennett's Pyro nor Ayato's Stained Glass could bring Aureus Dreams to him in a very strange way. In 1% of the cases, but it's a very consistent set in that example, people don't play that team of crackling quiet people. I may now say with Quinich a team to crack a Quinich Furina Kazuha Bennett, because the truth is that there is Kazuha. I could go with that set so curiously, so unique and so strange, but the reality is that if you put in a Xiangling sub DPS to do some interesting damage so that Furina, whatever she does, is reverse, vaporized outside the field of 100, 1000 per blow, maybe you're missing more from Kazuha. And in the future, Mawika looks like that 5-star Xiangling that explodes. Crack them, but in 99% of cases, and except these two examples, exceptions, and some more punctual in the game Kazuha, go Green Shadow now that Green Shadow goes, and that you are well Green Shadow triple mastery. Recharge Green Shade point here. I don't have recharge now, you'll see why, but I should have a lot of recharge in Substat Master's degree. I don't have recharge in Substat now. You will see why I have mastery here if I have recharge, but I have choice of probability and in the flower and in the pen in the Substat. Maximize mastery and recharge and mastery. Recharge it here. I have no recharge now. You will see why you full mastery. And full recharge the weapons well. The weapons are very easy, and remember that as always I will upload a guide of Kazuha summarized in eyes Taka that's here in the description, so go see her where I explain and put a little tier list of weapons with many more possibilities than I explain in the video, because in the video the part of the weapons extends so much that sometimes I find it even heavy or boring for the players, and I have preferred, as you see in the last builds, to simplify it in the 2 best free-to-play weapons that everyone can have. In every case a mega link is not clear, but I have it. And the 3 best 5-star weapons, if you have them out there, then there are intermediate weapons. Then Kazuha is very easy. The 2 best weapons of the game for him are his same weapon and the Yexifos, which is a 4-star but is a 4-star. Promotional that you cannot get in any banner, unlike, for example, those for sacrifice, and basically in my opinion would recommend you even more the Yexifos above his weapon, because the Yexifos will give you recharge Kazuha recharger the whole team, and it's going to buff rate equipment like Sniper carry Ryo, but it's also going to complement all the recharge that needs Kazuha being able to unlock the Kazuha Prime, which is a Kazuha with triple mastery like mine with recharge boot. Proportionally, we take advantage of their talents in doing damage outside the spectacular field, sometimes with small enemies in the Abyss. The small enemies die in the combo of Kazuha before entering with the carry. Makes no sense. What? Makes the Kazuha back in arms, and to finish the 2 most powerful free-to-play weapons I will recommend in Kazuha. I1 the Iron Thorn of the Forging, totally free to play Roan. It is not necessary neither that you refine it nor anything the weapon. Floriferous Flood event that is practically the same as the Iron Thorn that gives you the same mastery and everything in alone. Exclusively in very low power generation equipment that are the International Tartle equipment and Diato Vape. In those cases, the Kazuha Favonius and would not recommend sacrifice, but Kazuha Favonius problem the Favonius that your weapon does not have. Mastery that your helmet must be probability for you to skip the test to jump the critical blow to jump the Favonius. And then you lose the master's weapon and the master's helmet you stay at 600 masters and the bonus elemental damage is infinitely worse than the elementary damage bonus with 1000 master's degree or more, with which I do not recommend Favonius only on the Turtle and Dayato team. And not even because if you optimize the recharges of the equipment will do much more damage with a top roof and without Permountis, which is the most important thing without relying on doing this aberration of putting Favonius to Kazuha, does not carry Favonius, and only lie. I would take it in that case so free to play Iron Thorn or Floriferous Deluge the Favonius in a very special case, and 5 stars his weapon, but mainly I will recommend you by the Kazuha Prime, the Xyphos. Likewise, his weapon is very good. It gives you 198 master's degree, that is 30 more than what gives you the Xyphos or the Iron Thorn, and its weapon passive gives you a bonus of damage to the whole team, also very high, with which interesting his weapon, but personally, his weapon would recommend it to put to a Kuki to a Kuki Shinobu. Kazuha's gun you put to Kuki having a Xyphos, and the Xyphos you put to Kazuha. You have the chance to block the Kazuha Prime, and now to finish the power recharge with the cone basically is 40-45 on all teams, doing well the combo. If you do not have the cone, I recommend more 50-60 on most teams, and with the Xyphos with his recharge included, as you see here, I am 61, because the Xyphos is the only weapon to make up for yourself. Most of the power recharge can look at its stat probability, which is what I teach you here, and get a Kazuha. Triple mastery with a lot of recharge, enough to have ulti cousin, but above making critics and doing good damage. Taking advantage of the scale of his talents that is quite strong, Kazuha to be an Anemos character or carry that in theory should not hurt as very high climbs that combine with, for example, Bennett that many teams are played, or Furina. C2 can go for Mother and Monkey Anemos scale. Much Faruzan Sank's Kazuha harm, all damage, and Bennett also does. Damage makes ticks of 100k per blow that make no sense and melt the wings, so Kazuha basically has this if in need. This video would enter the teams. The video would last half an hour because Kazuha literally is best in slot of the teams. Noivilet to Furina Kazuha, and for example, Kuki healer there to play electro-charged, i.e. best team of the game is best in slot of the Arlecchino Furina Kazuha Bennett, which is the best in slot of Arlecchino, is good with gaming, though in the case of gaming is not best in slot, is very good international Turtle and Ayato that we have talked about before, and really in permafrost is no longer best in slot, but setting the example of Ayaka Kokomi Barmona Kazuha Shenhei is the second best in slot of the permafrost the best today, as it is Fiorina Shanyong Shenyang Shenhei Ayaka. Then it is no longer the best, but it is a beast Kazuha. Azo, and here already if I extend I could explain 87,000 teams of Kazuha, including the crackling that has explained before. Zo Kazuha is the best of the game up to the existence and affirmation of Shilhian, and if not negated by what we have. Zaynan explained in the beta and in a previous video that is here on Kazuha screen, is one of the 3 best characters of the game, next to Nahida and next to Furina, who are 2 archers. Effectively Kazuha is the Archant Anemo, so little more. Say goodbye here to him. Ita, okay. With a little greeting and a little kiss that Ita the comments that is a crack that makes the cameo in the video and pushes him a couple of times in there so that we know that he's alive. He's alive, that he's saying something, is tweeting, and that. It's always fun for me, who's poor on Twitter care lot, to have very good day. No, Mini is, and Kaito.